Hi guys, welcome back to another video from Hustle is for Life, and I'm your host Salal, and today I'm coming here to deliver a lot of value to you guys because I am today joined by a dear friend and a colleague who I connected with quite recently at work, and actually we just realized how similar we are, and our interests, our passions, our thinking, our mindset is very similar, and we actually ended up really connecting, going deep, and she is now one of my closest friends, and she has really helped me understand a lot about mindfulness and being present, and just really dug deep with me and opened some of the doors which have never been opened before. I've never talked to some of that stuff before with anybody else, and she really went deep with me. And I have her with me here today to add value to you guys. She has an awesome amount of content to deliver, a phenomenal amount of value to deliver to you guys. So I just want to introduce you guys to my dear friend Amber. Hi Amber, you alright?
Hi. Hi guys, I just wanted to thank you for taking some time out to watch this video today, and to thank Talal, the host, for having me on to talk about my dreams and goals. So thank you, Talal.
Yeah, no problem. We're really excited to have you here. And you know what? Let's just straight off the bat talk a little bit about how we actually ended up connecting. Because we've been working together for a while at work, but we never really sat down and connected. And it just so happened that one day we ended up connecting, and look how far we've come in such a short period of time. So should we talk about that for a bit?
Yeah. So me and Talal ended up connecting at a really bad point, I would say, in my life last year, 2016, when I was in quite a dark place due to anxiety and depression and a lot of stress at work. It just happened, Talal asking me why I was leaving work, why I'd handed my notice in, and we just started connecting and talking about what we had in common, which was positive thinking, motivation, and the neuro-linguistic programming. So that's how we started off talking, and we have kind of helped to guide and shape each other so far in our dreams and our processes, really. So that's how it started off.
Yeah, absolutely. And what an amazing journey we've been on since then. We've grown so close since then, and it's just amazing. It's just like I've known you forever, and I'm sure you feel the same way, and it's amazing. And one thing I want to point out, guys, like the frame kind of keeps freezing every now and again. Well, that's just the reality of things, when you do these kind of videos. So please bear with, but we're still getting the audio through, so that's great. Even if the frame freezes, don't worry. Let's just carry on with the audio. So Amber, first question to you really is, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Because I think you have an amazing story to share with these guys. And just tell us a little bit about, what's your journey been like so far?
Okay, so I'm 25 years old and I have been a health and social care teacher for 3 years. During that time, I took a break from teaching, and I was working with 16 to 18-year-olds who were homeless. They were a very challenging group to work with, and a lot of them had a lot of baggage and mental health issues. Mindfulness come about for me when I was in a really dark place, and a friend introduced me to the law of attraction and mindfulness, and it really helped me to get out of that dark place. When I was teaching the 16 to 18-year-olds who were homeless, I was trying to share my journey with them, and to try and teach them a bit about mindfulness and a bit about meditation to maybe help them get out of a really dark place. And most of them, to be honest, were not interested in mindfulness or meditation, which is fair enough. They are 16 years old. However, some of them actually took it upon themselves to go and research meditation, and they were using it before they went to bed.
Wow.
A lot of them used drugs such as cannabis to help them sleep. So it was a massive change for them, and a massive positive that they could actually use meditation instead of cannabis to help them sleep. And my passion for mindfulness has grown since then, really.
Wow, that's, you know what, that's an amazing story. And you say that about them having a positive change. Well, that came through you. So really, that's a massive achievement, attributed straight to you. So that's phenomenal. Really, that is amazing. Now, I know you're super passionate about mindfulness. You're always asking me how I'm doing with my mindfulness homework that you've set me, and how I'm getting on. And you're always giving me new tips and stuff. That's awesome. But really, you just kind of touched upon it, but how did you actually really come across it? Can you just expand on that? And maybe also talk about why you're so passionate about it.
Okay, so mindfulness, as I said before, a friend gave me a book and some tips when I was in a really dark place at university, so about 5 years ago now. And I couldn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. I was trapped in my own thoughts and feelings, and I just felt like I could not escape that. She started teaching me some practices about being mindful and about the law of attraction and how to be grateful for what we had in every moment. So from that, I started to look into mindfulness. I started doing a lot of reading around mindfulness, and slowly I started practicing mindfulness. So mindfulness is being in the now, not worrying about what has happened or is yet to come. So that is you tapping into your senses and seeing what is actually happening in this moment. So that's the smell, that's the taste, that's texture if you're eating something, that's is it light or dark, really tapping into what's around you. And this process started really helping me because a lot of my worries was coming from what had happened, whether I did a good job or not. Or what was about to happen, did I have enough time to do that? So just a little bit at a time, I started practicing mindfulness. And it's got to a point now where I am probably mindful between 50 and 70% of my day.
Wow.
So I start off through waking up, being very grateful for what I've got for that day. So being present in that moment, being present if I don't feel ill, for thanking for that. And just really starting to use mindfulness and incorporating it into my day-to-day life. And I know I set you some homework about brushing your teeth, and being mindful when you're brushing your teeth, and really tapping into the senses of the smell and how it feels, and each brush stroke. And the same also when I said about in the shower. How many of you have a shower and you just do it completely mindlessly? You get in, you wash, you get out, you dry. But actually you can use mindfulness in that process. Okay, really care for yourself. Make sure you're using mindfulness and tapping into your senses. So washing yourself like a baby was a really good tip that someone gave me. So you wouldn't wash a baby in a hurry, and you wouldn't wash them with no compassion and no sensitivity. You would make sure that you're very careful. And therefore you should treat your own body like that and really be mindful about what you're doing. Also, it just helps to give you a 5 to 10 minute break in the day and just really concentrate on doing something for yourself. So that's where my passion comes from, and it has really helped me out of a dark place, and it has helped me out of a dark place many a time. So I'm very grateful for mindfulness. It's not easy, and I'm sure some of you are thinking, well, why is she telling us to be in the moment? I can do that. Well, actually, it takes a lot of practice, and it's taken me about 5 years to get to the point where I am now mindful about 50 to 70% of my day. Sure, Talal, you can relate to that because from your homework, when I ask you and keep checking in with you about your mindfulness, that you find it quite difficult. So it's really important, and I think that the more people that can use mindfulness, the better it will help them with stressful situations, depression, anxiety, to really get them out of that, because most of that worry is worrying about what has been or is to come. So that's a little bit about why I'm passionate about it and why I feel that it can help others. So yeah.
Wow, no, I love that. That's amazing, and I think a lot of people out there will be able to relate to the fact that you were in a really dark period in your life, and the great thing is that you took charge, right? You took charge, you took responsibility, and you decided that no more, and I'm going to change something. And it was through this medium of mindfulness that you were able to come out the other side, and that's phenomenal. That's amazing. And the passion shows. I think the way you were talking, the way you were actually talking about mindfulness and your experience and stuff, I think it showed. It really showed just how passionate you are about it, and that's amazing. That's really amazing. And I know you keep checking on me, and you're right. You're absolutely right. It is hard to be mindful. I struggle, and I keep telling you, like, yeah, I tried, but it just doesn't last long. I do try, and then it doesn't last long. Your mind wanders, and yeah, it is quite hard to achieve it. But definitely, I'm working on it. I'm not gonna give up. I'm gonna carry on working on it, and I'm sure you're not gonna stop bugging me until I do. So that's fine. Awesome. Okay, so you would have actually just recently launched a website about mindful eating. Can you just go a little bit into that and just talk about what does mindful eating actually involve and why is that important?
Okay, so first of all, when I was designing this website, I thought that I was going to go straight into mindfulness eating. Then I've kind of realized that since doing this, that actually in order to do mindfulness eating, you have to learn mindfulness as a practice, as an art, first of all.
Right.
So
okay.
I'm going about just setting out, kind of giving people hints and tips on how to be mindful in day-to-day life. Then I'm going to slowly progress it into mindfulness eating. And mindfulness eating is basically us being mindful about what we are eating, the way we are eating it, and just really taking a moment to enjoy the food that we are eating. Many people are overweight, and myself included in this. I've had quite a long journey with my weight. Eat to fill emotional void.
Yeah.
So because emotional eating, so because they're sad or down or because they're stressed. It also works the other way. If you're happy and excited and something good happens, either way you use food to fill a void. And people that often do that eat mindlessly. They either eat very quickly and don't enjoy each mouthful. I am definitely one for that, shoveling it in. I've had a long day at work, stressful, tired. I just want to cook my dinner and I want to get it down my neck as quick as possible.
Yeah, that's me.
Not mindful. Yeah, and we all do it.
Yeah.
And it's about taking a step back. It's about preparing a meal and being really mindful about what you're preparing. Look at the colours, try and figure out the nutritional value in that. Try and figure out what herbs and spices make that tasty. And then when you sit down and you've prepared that meal, really chewing it and concentrating on what you're eating and tasting it. Often, a spag bowl or a pizza, we just eat it, really quickly. We know what it tastes like and we don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
But actually we do. If we sit down and chew our food and really concentrate on them flavours, it's a much nicer and calmer process. And also with that, you can start to feel when you're hungry. Whereas me before, I was eating my dinners, and I mean a full dinner, within about 7 minutes.
Wow.
Okay, so I wasn't tasting it, and I was just literally 2 chews, chomp chomp, down, next mouthful. But now I actually sit and I put my food in my mouth, put my knife and fork down, and really chew and taste the food.
Wow.
I started to realise that I didn't like some foods, which was just not heard of for me because there wasn't anything that I didn't eat.
Right.
Well, as I started chewing a lot, I was like, I don't actually like the taste of this. And one of the meals I went off of was spaghetti bolognese because I was like, I don't actually enjoy this. I don't enjoy the texture.
Oh, really?
I'd eaten it for about 20 1 years or something,
Yeah.
with no problem whatsoever, and really enjoyed it. But when I actually truly started tasting it, I started to go off of it. So yeah, it's just about being mindful of what we're eating, how much we're eating, and actually just being mindful and enjoying the food. And if we don't like it, kind of preparing other food that we do like, not eating stuff for the sake of eating it, but really making sure that every meal is enjoyable.
Right.
So I hope some information there to help.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. I think you're absolutely right. It's really important that we are more mindful with our eating. And one thing I've kind of realized is that, we have so many distractions. Like, we might be watching TV while we're eating, we're on the phone, flicking through Facebook, we're watching a video on our tablet or iPad, and all those things that distract us from, being present and mindful with our food. I know this. I'm guilty of this, absolutely. The fact that, I can pull out my phone and just start flicking through Facebook or something like that while I'm eating. It's just to kind of like fill that gap, like, because nothing else is happening. You're just eating. But it's really important that time to be present, to be mindful about what you're eating and how you're eating it. So yeah, you're absolutely right there. I am absolutely guilty of that, and something I need to work on as well. Now, the thing is, we all want to eat healthy, right? Okay, everybody wants to eat healthy. There's nobody here really who's gonna say on purpose, I want to eat in an unhealthy way. But most people really, really struggle with this. So the next question really I have is, like, how can people motivate themselves about being mindful with their eating?
So this was actually a question that I really struggled with, because I was trying to think, how can people motivate themselves? What did I do? So I did kind of struggle a little bit with this question, but what I come up with was trying to find out as much about yourself, or if you're working for someone, the person that has come to you and wants to mindfully eat. Okay, so trying to find out about their background, what their triggers are for emotionally eating, and why they do it, and what processes they use when they're eating. So do they eat really quickly? Are they eating mindlessly? Do they chew their food? Don't they? So really trying to get a background history on that person.
Right.
Also, wrote down about, actually, you can't start this process until you love yourself as you are. If you're not grateful for what you have now, then you can't receive any change. So you need to learn to love yourself as you are now. Okay.
Right.
So if your body is okay, you might not be happy that you're overweight or you're not a certain shape, but actually, if you're actually quite healthy and you're free from disease and you're free from illness, then actually you have a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah.
So it's about going back to basics really, and being grateful for what you have, and then developing and working on that to change it. So I said that people need to learn to love themselves first before they start to change. And that is kind of now, and this is a question that I really struggled with, it's about making sure that person loves themselves as they are now before we move on to change. So, yeah, this was something that I actually struggled with a little bit, because for me, the motivation come from myself was that I didn't want to be controlled by food anymore.
Right. Okay.
I lived my life controlled by food. When was my next meal? What was I going to eat? It didn't even have to be a meal, actually, snacks, whatever I could lay my hands on. And I would be in this cycle of binge, blame, shame. Okay?
Right.
So I'd binge eat, I'd blame it on myself, and then I would be ashamed.
Yeah.
And then that would set me off again, and then I would binge, and then I would blame myself again, and then I'd be ashamed. So I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to break that cycle. And with food, I do see it as any other addiction.
Mm.
And you have to be wanting to change. There is no
Yeah.
point trying to eat mindfully if you don't actually want to change.
Yeah.
So you have to almost trigger that process yourself and be ready to change.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. I love what you said about, loving yourself for who you are right now. Um, before you can actually be mindful about your eating, because you're right, unless you actually the motivation needs to come from inside, right? There's extrinsic
Yeah,
motivation and intrinsic motivation, and
yeah,
really needs to come from the inside in order for it to last, in order for it to actually create change, because extrinsic motivation, we know, just burns out eventually, right? So
yeah,
you're absolutely right. You do need to accept yourself for who you are. You do need to actually, love yourself as you are right now, before you can create that lasting change in your habits, and we know that habits that have been there for many, many, many years are really hard to then change overnight. You do
yeah.
need to put in the groundwork, right? You do need to put in the grunt work before you start to experience any, physical change. So you're absolutely right. And I love that. I absolutely love that. That's fantastic. And I also really love the fact, what you said about binge, blame, shame. I love that. That's really awesome, because I think a lot of people do go through that process, but again, they don't realize that this is what's happening, and it's actually
Mm.
really great that you were able to tap into that and identify, this is what's happening, this is what I'm experiencing, and you were only able to do that through the process of mindfulness. So that's fantastic. That, really the message here is that mindfulness and mindful eating go hand in hand. And unless you actually accept for who you are, have that intrinsic drive, you're not going to experience any change.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, the thing is that at the moment, like we've talked about motivation, how people can keep themselves motivated about this. But the thing is, we all have busy lifestyles, right? Like these days, everybody is busy doing, a million and one things, and they have
Yeah.
really, really busy lifestyles. So the thing is, how did you incorporate that, mindful eating? How did you incorporate mindful eating into your habits and your lifestyle? And how maybe you can expand on that, maybe say you can give some advice to people about how they can do it with their busy lifestyle.
Okay, so I am a big believer in, well, initially, didn't really want to give up any more of my time. I didn't have enough of it,
Mm,
as it is doing the job that I do. So I certainly didn't want to give up any more of my time to set aside to practice something or to diet or to do any of them kinds of things. Mindfulness really worked for me because I didn't have to do that.
yeah,
I just incorporated it into my day-to-day life and my day-to-day activities. So we spoke before about being mindful when you're brushing your teeth. So
yeah,
everybody brushes their teeth, so I'm not going to do anything in addition to what they're already doing.
mm,
So you can start off with a few practices. So brushing your teeth and being really mindful about, each tooth that you're brushing, about the brush going round if it's electric, or about the bristles on your teeth if it's not, about feeling the toothpaste and the taste of it and the smell of it, and really tapping in and really just concentrating on exactly what you're doing. Um, Another practice that I use is the showering, being really mindful of what I'm doing, washing, and really taking care of myself.
yeah,
And almost easy as it sounds, showering myself in self-love. I love
mm,
myself and I am worth something. And so
yeah,
by showering and being mindful and being caring, I am preserving myself in a way.
mm,
Um, Another way that I do it as well, which I'm always banging on at you about, is driving and being mindful.
yeah,
How
yeah,
many of you have driven to work, got to work, and then you're like, how have I even got here?
mm,
What, like, and that could be like a 20 mile trip or, whatever, but you get there and you're like, how did I even get here? I don't know.
mm,
Because you're driving unconsciously. You're
yeah,
not driving consciously. You're not driving being mindful.
Yeah.
And so when you're driving, so for example, my journey can be anything from half an hour to an hour.
Mm.
So I practice mindfulness in the car. I'm not doing and can't do anything else whilst I'm driving. So I practice mindfulness on the way to work. I look around and I look at the trees and I look at the grass and I look at the beautiful countryside. And I'm obsessed with sunsets at the moment because they're so beautiful here in Leicestershire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really concentrate on the colours and the smells around me,
Mm.
and that just sets me up for my day. 30 to 45 minutes, just practicing mindfulness really sets you up for your day, and you're experiencing what's going on around you. How many times before have I driven somewhere and I took no notice of what is on the way, or the beautiful houses or whatever it is. It's just about tapping in and being mindful, and you can do that in anything that you do. And so you don't have to give any of your precious time to do that.
Right. Right. So what you're saying is really that you incorporate that into your existing habits, like exactly what you're doing at the moment. You don't have to do anything necessarily new. Whatever you're doing right now, you tap into that, you try to be mindful, and it's just one continuous habit. Like it just carries on. So for example, if you're being mindful when you're driving, you're being mindful in the shower, you're being mindful when you're brushing your teeth, etc., you're having your dinner, then this is something that you can just take forward to when you're eating, or when you're cooking. So it just and one more step in that process of being mindful. So that's great. That's fantastic. In which case we can all really do that. I mean, that's fantastic that we don't really have to develop any new habits. We don't have to go out of our way to do this. We can just literally incorporate mindfulness into everything we do, and then just take it one step further and be mindful with our eating. So that's fantastic. That's really good. I like that. I really like that. So, the thing is, what do you think is the most important thing that you can share with everyone today that will help them develop a new mindset about mindful eating, or being practicing mindfulness? What's the one thing? What do you think is the most important thing that everybody needs to know?
So mindfulness, the most important thing about mindfulness is no matter what situation, no matter where you are in your headspace right now, if you're finding it difficult to get motivated or to be happy, or if you're in a really dark place, mindfulness can really help you out of that place.
Right.
It can help you to start grateful for things around you, because no matter how bad you think life is at this point, or at the moment you're in, you still have things to be grateful for. You have for being alive, for food, for water, for housing.
Yeah.
So you have a lot to be grateful for. And mindfulness can really help you to get out of that dark situation by just being present. And that's what I really want to get across, is that we spend most of our day not being present. We are thinking about, so for your case, the kids, your children, doing their lunches, or dinner, or washing, or putting toys away, or whatever is next, and not thinking of what is actually happening now. And that's the same for me at work. When I was getting really stressed, it was all about what had happened. Oh my God, I didn't do a good job at that. I should have done better. Or what was about to come. I'm about to be observed. I need to do more. What, they're going to judge me. They're going to think this. They're going to think that. Well, actually, most of that conversation you have in your head about what you're going to say to someone, or what someone has said to you, doesn't matter, because the moment's passed, so you're not going to change it.
Yeah.
And often, if you're like me and have them conversations in your head where you're like, when I see that person, I'm going to say X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 and get yourself really worked up about it. 9 times out of 10, you don't say any of that thing anyway. So it's just about being present in the moment. And it's like clouds, okay? So you have fork clouds, and they come whizzing past you. And what we do is we pick one out and we really focus on it, and we analyze it, and we start thinking irrationally.
Yeah.
Actually, what mindfulness is
Yeah.
them clouds that are passing by with thoughts and feelings. We just need to let them go and keep going. Think about it. Yep, okay, maybe I did or didn't do a good job. It doesn't matter now because it's been and gone. Gone. That's another thought moving on. So mindfulness can really, really help you to just live life and be living now.
Hmm.
So I hope that some of you can take from this that actually start living and being in the now and
Yeah.
being grateful for what we have now rather than what has or is about to come. That doesn't matter. We'll face that when we're in that now.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, no, I love that. I really like the cloud example you gave because that totally makes sense. And it's so simple. It's so simple, right? It's such a simple example to talk about clouds, and then when we have thoughts, it's the same thing, but we just pick on one of those clouds and really start to focus on it, right? And it just start to turn into a storm all of a sudden. So I love that example. That was phenomenal. I love that. And also what you said there about living now, that was really powerful as well. That it's not just about being present, but being present means you're living now. That was super powerful. I love that. That was fantastic. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. Guys, just I hope you're finding tremendous amount of value in this, what Amber is saying, what she's sharing with us, because she's been sharing all this stuff with me, and I was just like, I have to get you on to do an interview because all of this stuff is super valuable, and it's just phenomenal. Okay, what she's sharing with us. So I hope you find tremendous amount of value in this, and I'm also conscious that sometimes the frame is still freezing because maybe the connection kind of goes in and out. So please ignore that. We're hopefully still getting the audio. So this is just the reality of how these interviews and these conversations go, guys. But my aim is to bring tremendous value to you each and every single time. So this is just the reality of it, guys. That's all it is. Anyway, so that was awesome. My next question really is about how has mindfulness and mindful eating helped you during the dark times? Because we're talking about all this stuff about mindfulness and mindful eating, which might be completely new to some of these people, just like it was for me when you first told me about it. But I think what people would really appreciate is actually kind of getting your perspective, your kind of experience on how you were able to get through the dark times, how these really helped you get through those dark times, and talk about that process, that actual step-by-step process. Just give us a bit of a breakdown, because I think people can really relate to that, and they would probably find an incredible amount of value in it.
Okay, so initially when I was first introduced to it, I was at uni. I had just moved out of halls and into a student house. I was in quite a desperate situation. I was living with people that I didn't know, and it was just extremely stressful. Not just your normal student housing where it was dirty, but it was pretty bad, the house I was living in.
Right.
And after months and months of just put up with it and get on with things, it all become just too much.
Yeah.
So I got into a really dark place then, where I had a quite severe anxiety and depression. And to be honest with you, wasn't that fussed about if the next day come or not.
Right.
So I moved in with my best friend who was at a different uni, and I went and moved in with him, and he really helped me to get out of a bad place. His friend, a mutual friend, put me sort of in touch with The Secret. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It's a book about law of attraction, positive thinking,
Yeah.
and with that comes mindfulness. So she started to teach me about it, and I started to do a lot of reading and a lot of video searching and just kind of trying to find out a bit more about it. So that was how it came about, and I started practicing it. And first of all, I was a bit like you. I was like, I can't do this. It's like I don't know how to empty my mind. I had so much going on, so many thoughts, and I was just like, this is impossible. Like I cannot do this. But I kind of see the brain as a muscle, and the more you use it and the more you train it, the more capable you are of doing things. So slowly, and it was very frustrating in the first place because I was just like, I cannot do this. You know, I'd rather go for a run than do this because it was just what I thought was impossible. And slowly, over the last 5 years, I have incorporated it and practiced it to the point now, like I said, where, you know, between 50 and 70% of my day, I am being mindful. And it's just about trying not to worry about anything really. And I know that's quite a difficult thing to do because the mind is so irrational and tries to come up with stories or hypotheses or reasons or worries, which are not really needed. But yeah, just trying to live and be in the now, and also focusing on the breath. I don't know if any of you have been to an interview or have been observed, if you're teachers. I focus on the breath, and when I'm thinking and focusing on my breath, it's really hard to think about anything else, and therefore them irrational feelings don't come in. So when you're having an interview, it's like, am I going to get this job? Am I good enough to get this job? What are they thinking? Are they judging me? Do they think I'm rubbish? Is this presentation good enough? But actually, when you're just thinking on the breath breathing in and the breath breathing out, it's really hard to try and think of anything else whilst you're doing that. So when you've got the breath and you're focusing on your breath, it's really hard to worry about anything else. So that's how I started. And that also comes from anxiety attacks, when you can't catch your breath and you're really struggling for air. And someone once taught me, once you've got your breath and you focused on your breath, it is really hard to be negative about anything else, because you can't concentrate on your breathing and think about something negative. So if you just try and do that now, and it's really hard to try and do both at the same time. So that was how I started really, and that's how I've sort of developed it. And that's kind of one of the easiest ways, I think, to try and start with mindfulness, as well as incorporating it into your day-to-day activities. Especially, like I said, if you suffer from anxiety, you know, the breath is often the first thing to go, which then sets you off shaking and irrational feelings and thoughts. But if you can actually just concentrate on deep breaths, then all of that goes out of the window. So I hope that was a little bit of help and some tips and techniques on how you can try and incorporate mindfulness quite easily into your day-to-day life. And like I said, if you are in that deep, dark place, mindfulness can really help you to get out of that by living in the now and not being trapped inside your own head and them irrational thoughts and feelings.
Wow, no, that's amazing. And the fact is that obviously you've been doing this for 5 years. You have 5 years worth of experience and research and reading, and trying and trial and error and all sorts of other stuff that you've been working on to get to this stage. But now you're taking all of the information in its most, pure distilled form, and you're then able to share it with everybody else. And that's fantastic because, everybody else doesn't have to spend another 5 years trying to get to the same stage. They can literally follow whatever you're saying and simply just get there a lot quicker.
Yeah.
right? So that's fantastic. That's really great. And I think what you talked about, anxiety and feeling low, and panic attacks, and some of the techniques that you shared as well. I think that's really great because, sometimes people who actually experience that, who do have anxiety, who do actually go through panic attacks and stuff, it's hard because their confidence is really knocked down.
Yeah.
But to hear from somebody who actually has been there and is able to come out on the other side and actually explain what that process looked like and how you actually did it and actually share some, tips and techniques, I think that's phenomenal. I think that's really great. So guys, once again, Amber has just dropped a tremendous amount of value on you guys, with everything. And I was just so happy to get Amber on here, to come here and talk to you guys and share all of this stuff with you guys, because I think she has a tremendous amount of knowledge regarding mindfulness that she can share with you guys and really help you accelerate your life. And really, thank you so much, Amber, for this. I really appreciate you taking the time to coming here and talking to us. And I am sure that everybody else is thinking the same, that you have just dropped a tremendous amount of value on them. And you are the guru. You are the guru. Really. So lastly, how can people help you? So if people want to, get in touch with you, where can they find out about you? Where can they learn about you? Where can they go to find out more about your website and mindfulness and mindful eating? And how can they help you with your vision?
So I'm quite new to starting off, and I've created my own website, like you said, very early days. And I'm just starting off at the moment, just kind of blogging about what is mindfulness. And I'm going to slowly just try and introduce little tips and techniques like we've spoken about today.
Yeah.
Maybe each week, first of all, and just try and get people to incorporate these into their day-to-day life. How people could help me is by, going on, reading the blog, and maybe trying out the tips and techniques and responding and telling me whether or not these are working for them.
Right.
If they're working for them,
yeah.
Great. Why are they working for them? And how are they working for them? And how have they incorporated it into their daily lives? And also, if it's not working for them, if the tips and techniques aren't working for them, letting me know. There's a contacts page on the bottom of my website, which I'll give you in a minute.
Sure.
And just letting me know why it's not working, so that I can try and figure out other ways that people can incorporate these into their busy lifestyles. Because, this isn't going to work unless, people can do it, and I have that feedback, and I try and develop different strategies and techniques for people. So I'd really like your feedback on whether my tips and techniques are helping you and if they're working. And also, just to say with that, bear with it. It takes time, as you well know, Talal.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the more practice you get, the better you'll become at it. And I, from my experience, it has changed my life, and I'm hope that it can somebody else's life as well, just through being and living in the now. So, just a little bit of plug-in. You can find me at, I'm just going to give the full link because it doesn't work when you type it in.
I'll put it down in the comments section of the video anyway, so that's absolutely fine. But please feel free to share it with us right now.
Yeah. So it's https://mindfulnessamber.wordpress.com. So if you could go ahead and just have a little look and just even give me some feedback on the website. I'm not a very good speller, as Talal will tell you, but any feedback on the website, spelling, punctuation, grammar, any layout issues, please let me know. Please get in touch, and hopefully I can fix that.
Awesome.
So thank you very much.
No problem. Awesome. No, that's great. So yeah, guys, go and check the website out. I'll make sure that I put the link in the description for you guys if you want to go check that out. But yeah, this is somebody who has actually, walked the walk. Okay. She has gone through, some experiences in her life, and she has come out successful on the other end. So it's really important that you guys take action. You go to Amber's website, you check it out, and if there's anything that you found value in this video that resonated with you, then I urge you to then share it with somebody else, okay, who's very close to you, who you find might be able to find value in this video as well. And make sure that when you actually share it with somebody else, you tell them what value you found, so they don't just brush it off. They then take the time, listen to the video carefully, watch it, and maybe they would want to share it with somebody else as well. But this is how you spread the message, okay? This is how you spread it. And really, you can see that both me and Amber have taken our time out to make sure that we come here and we deliver value to you guys. And the least that we can ask from you guys is that if there's anything that you found valuable in this video, if anything resonated with you, that you pass it on. You pass it on to somebody else. And that's really the greatest way that you can add value to us. That's the greatest way that you can repay us. And if you do go to Amber's website and you do go check it out, then make sure you go and actually fill out the contact form and get in touch with Amber, because she has so much to offer you. But unless you ask, you will not receive. So make sure you go to Amber's website. I'll include the link below in the description. Make sure you check it out, and then make sure you get in touch with Amber and give her feedback, and she can really help you out. Whatever questions you have, you can ask her directly, okay? And I'm sure she'll be more than happy to get in touch with you and offer you advice and help, even on a one-to-one basis when she can. So with that, Amber, thank you so much for coming here and really, dropping a tremendous amount of value on all of us, and really helping us understand, what mindfulness is and how it can help us, accelerate our lives and get better. And I just want to thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it that you came here and you actually talked to us about your website and your mindfulness and your message.
Thank you very much, Talal. Thank you for taking your time also to speak to me and to share my message, and to hopefully pass on this message that will go on to help other people. And that's what we're about. We're about sharing our skills or our knowledge to other people to help them either get out of a dark place into the light place, or to just give people knowledge and sharing knowledge. So thank you ever so much for your time, and thank you for those that are watching, and hopefully you've taken something from this experience. So thank you very much, Talal.
And I'm sure they have. I'm sure everybody has. So yeah, with that, guys, until next time, I'm going to sign out now, but stay awesome and go take action. Take care, and all the best wherever you are. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to spend this time with me. Time is one of your most important assets, and you've invested your time in this video. So now I urge you to go and take action. Take care and all the best.